welcome to CBS Sports HQ. Russ Thaler and Joe Musso here, where Thanksgiving football bled into an absolutely crazy college football weekend, and that was before we experienced this NFL Sunday. I think we're running on pure adrenaline at this point.
I mean, however you find your fuel, you've come to the right place. Overtime thrillers, record-setting runs, and enough scores to chase away those Sunday scaries all the way to Christmas. Monday Night Football leads things off between the Packers and the Birds. Eagles, looking for their fifth 10-1 start in franchise history, made the NFL championship game or Super Bowl in the previous four such situations. Aaron Rodgers, dealing with a broken thumb on his right hand, would leave Philly with more issues. Under a minute left in the first quarter, Eagles down 14-13. Jalen Hurts off and running outside for the 42-yard gain to the Green Bay 3. Hurts in the first quarter, 7 rushes for a $103. It's the most rushing yards by a QB in any quarter over the last 45 seasons. 2 plays later, Miles Sanders punching it in. Eagles out in front 2014. Sanders' 8th of the season, already a career high and counting. Early second quarter now. 12, making something happen. Evades pressure, eyes downfield, finds Aaron Jones in the end zone for the 20-yard touchdown. Tied at 20 after a missed extra point. Great vision downfield there from Rodgers. But look at this. 19 seconds left in the half. Same score, Hurts going deep to Quez Watkins for the touchdown. Over cashes as we head to the locker rooms. 27-20 at the break. Highest scoring first half this season. Hurts in the first half, $128 through the air, $126 on the ground. Becomes the first player in NFL history with 125 plus in both categories in a half. It's A.J. Brown getting in for his requisite touchdown to make it 34-20. Brown's 7th of the season, but Rodgers' issues in the third quarter will become more and more apparent. Holding his right ribs after a couple different plays, was stacked up on, and he'd leave the game in the third quarter with an oblique injury, did not return, so Jordan Love taking over early fourth. Love loves it. Christian Watson makes the catch, and he's off to the races. 63 yards later, Watson's 6th touchdown in his last 3 games. Just like that. Only a touchdown between them, folks. Minute 18 left, now a 10-point game. Big moment here for Packers bettors. They were catching 6.5. Oh, would have been a winning ticket, but pass falls incomplete. Packers would then settle for the field goal and then wouldn't get the onside kick. That's your ball game. Eagles get the win 40-33 as they are 10-1 for the 5th time in team history. More on that in a moment. The Packers, meanwhile, 4-8, their worst 12-game start in Aaron Rodgers' career. A little bit more perspective, 2008 Chargers, only team to make the playoffs after a 4-8 start. So Green Bay, perhaps already looking to the offseason and what the quarterback position will look like in their building next year. At the wagering window, Eagles do cover that 6.5. Got sketchy late, but no worries. Over, never in doubt. Cashed it heading into the locker room. 46.5 was the number. We blew by it with 73 total points. Here's Matt LaFleur postgame.
On his performance from the previous week, and we still got to be creative in terms of how we get him the ball. And but yeah, I think there were some things that were good out there tonight, but ultimately this league is about winning, and nobody cares if there's no moral victories. You got to find a way to win a game, bottom line. And that's collectively, that's all 3 phases, because there were some bright spots within each phase, but ultimately, collectively, it wasn't good enough.
More, please. You had a couple games like this with run defense with the previous coordinator again tonight. What do you think? What do you think the solution is there with the run defense in these games where it just implodes on you?
Yeah, I think I don't want to comment too quickly without going through and watching the tape and seeing what we're asking of guys. Like I said, we had 15 missed tackles as well. So I think collectively, we got to be a lot better. I mean, every individual on the defense, and it wasn't just the defense. I mean, we can't turn the ball over. So bottom line is, you win as a team, you lose as a team. It's got to be better, period.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Breaking it down with the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden and CBS Sports NFL analyst Ryan Wilson. Guys, we got to go to the headlines here because this was a comprehensive effort when it comes to the rushing attack for Philadelphia. It was a close game even into the fourth quarter due to a couple splash plays there. Injury here to Aaron Rodgers. We'll unpack it all, but first and foremost, first word goes to you, Ryan Wilson. What'd you make of this one?
Jalen Hurts is a problem, and it's funny to think back to when he was drafted, Joe and BMAC, because he was a second-round pick, almost an afterthought. Eagles fans and media folks alike, myself included, were surprised that the Eagles would take him with Carson Wentz still on the roster, and a few years later, here we are. He is one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, and he does things that no one else does, and we know about Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray to some degree, but here's the thing. Jalen Hurts might be the best running back in the NFL. No disrespect to Derrick Henry, but he also has the added benefit of being one of the best young passers with all those skill position players around him. So I think for me, we had issues with in terms of the Eagles' run defense in the first 30 minutes, but I think the takeaway is that even if that team on the other side is finding its footing, you always have this running game with Jalen Hurts leading the way to fall back on. And that's to say nothing about Miles Sanders and even Kenneth Gainwell having some good games as well. Didn't need Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown a lot, or even Quez Watkins, who had that great catch at the end of the first half. Because, again, it starts with Jalen Hurts. I'm interested to see going forward if NFL defenses can find a way to slow down Jalen Hurts, and then how will that Eagles offense respond. But as we sit here now, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, Ryan, I think it's safe to say Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position, he's probably one of the best two-way players we have in the league. And what I mean when I say that, the first quarter, the first half, remember, wasn't really doing a lot throwing the football, but he made things happen with his legs, just carving up the Green Bay Packers when given the opportunity to do so. With that being said, also, he's one of the smartest runners at the quarterback position. He knows exactly when to run. He knows when to look down the football field to see if there is an open pass catcher. He's just been, what he did today is what he's been doing the entire year, but it just was on a national stage. Now, granted, he probably had his best rushing performance the entire season so far, but that just tells you how unique he is and what he has in regards to the versatility. And when he's making things happen, not just with his arm, but his legs as well, look out, this offense can be extremely deadly.
It's very interesting, too, because we've seen Hurts and this Eagles offense take on a few different forms this season. This was the punch you in the mouth, run it down your throat iteration, but there was that stretch of games where Hurts was really just standing back in the pocket and delivering the football. You sort of touched upon it there, Ryan, but this is an offense that really can shapeshift to whatever they need to do. So I guess I'll ask you, is the road to a championship best found on the ground? B-Mac, you go first on this one.
For the Philadelphia Eagles, yes. Yes, because when they're running the football like they did tonight, I mean, you still got to respect A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and eventually they'll get Dallas Goedert back in the lineup as well. And they're not predictable. They're very, very balanced. I believe they're the most balanced offense in the National Football League. So, yes, Joe, when they're running the football, not necessarily saying they need to gain 300 yards on the ground, but when they're very, very effective at running the football, that makes Jalen Hurts that much better. So when you look at the NFC picture in totality in regards to playoff teams, you know, if things go accordingly for the Eagles, number one, you got to go through Philly to get to the promised land. Number two, you got to go against one of the more balanced offenses in the National Football League. So you got to have a defense that can be sound and effective in all three levels, not just the guys in the secondary, but like I said, the linebacking core, the defensive linemen, because they have to be gap sound, number one, and understand and know that they cannot allow this quarterback to dictate the flow of the ball game, because the way he did so tonight, it's going to be extremely tough to slow them down just a little bit.
Yeah, the beauty of this offense, B-Mac, is that the versatility that you talked about, and that starts with Jalen Hurts. If he's struggling to throw the ball, you can let him run it. You can let him get outside. He can turn the corner. And unlike smaller quarterbacks who are mobile, like, say, Kyler Murray, you're not bringing Jalen Hurts down with an arm tackle from a DB. You're going to have to get your hands on him as a defensive tackle or defensive end and not let go and wait for help. And, Joe, to your point about which offense might we see down the stretch, which one, you know, as B-Mac likes to say, running game travels, and so does defense. And I think the Eagles' defense in general has played really well. They were up and down in this game, at least for the first half. But you talk about the three previous games. We talked about how the Eagles were up and down offensively and didn't really blow teams out, especially that one-point win last week against the Colts. Go back 4 games ago to the Pittsburgh Steelers game, Jalen Hurts was sitting in the pocket just lighting the Steelers up. A.J. Brown had a huge afternoon. So they can beat you in a variety of ways, and that's even an even bigger headache for opposing defensive coordinators and opposing defenses. And I think that's what makes this team so unique. Yes, Lamar Jackson can beat you in a number of ways, but this feels different because Jalen Hurts is more Derrick Henry than he might be elusive running back who's a one-cut-and-go guy who doesn't like to get tackled. Jalen Hurts is incredible, and this offense will go as far as he takes them.
500 yards, however you can find it, that's good business, and that'll work here for the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 12. Week 12, interestingly enough, a great note here by super producer Lucas Frankel. First time in their young careers that Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts all win on the same day. So the youth movement is in full effect right now, and that takes us to where we're going here next. Jordan Love did see some tick here late in the game, delivered a nice one to Christian Watson for a long touchdown, and that was because of the rib injury to Aaron Rodgers. Let's go on Love here, because is it worth finding out what this kid's got right now, regardless of the severity of Rodgers' injury moving forward? Is it time to find out what Jordan Love is? B-Mac?
Wow. Tough question, Joe, right? Because if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, you're basically asking Ryan, do we pull the trigger on Jordan Love and just sit a healthy Aaron Rodgers? Even though we're 4-8, let's see what the young kid can do. You're sending not just a message this season to your entire team and to Aaron Rodgers, but it's safe to say if you do that, you're sending a message to Aaron Rodgers in regards to next year. So to answer your question, if you want Aaron Rodgers to be your quarterback next year, if you're part of the Green Bay Packers organization, front office, whatever the case may be, if you want number 12 to be your quarterback next year, no, you can't do it. Now, if he's injured, it's easy. He's not cleared to play. He can't go. But if he's healthy, if the rib injury is not severe and he's able to go next week and he's comfortable, yeah, no, you ride with number 12. But if you're willing to go ahead and disrupt things just a little bit, yeah, make that move and see exactly how everything will play out, especially coming from your future Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. So to answer your question, if you want to continue to ride with Aaron Rodgers, not just this year, next year, you can't do it. But if you're ready to cut the ties with Aaron Rodgers, no question. Let's see what he got.
B-Mac, what we talked about before the game, though. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be part of this rebuild. And if he's not interested in being back, it doesn't matter what Matt LaFleur wants. And I think it is time to give Jordan Love a little look-see. And look, we heard about it on the broadcast. They were talking about it, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, how much Aaron Rodgers had said Jordan Love had improved from last year's training camp to this year's training camp. He's taken all the first-team reps on Wednesday practices now because of Aaron Rodgers' thumb. And now you got an in. You got a way to get Jordan Love on the field. This team is 4-8. They are going nowhere. And those last two drives, those looked a lot different than last year's game where Jordan Love had to start against the Kansas City Chiefs. The ball was coming out on time. It was coming out accurately. We saw the Christian Watson touchdown. And you got to wonder if you're Matt LaFleur. We traded up for this guy a few years ago. Didn't take any receiver. We got to find out. This is year 3. We're going into year 4. Aaron Rodgers may not even be back next year, no matter how much we want him. That's like you want your high school girlfriend back. She's moved on. She's dating a college quarterback. It's time to look and see what Jordan Love has.
Much in that vein, there will someday be a statue of number 12 outside of Lambeau, but this does feel like a relationship that has run its course. Let's go one further here, Ryan Wilson. One for the social team. This time next season, where is Aaron Rodgers? What is he doing?
Aaron Rodgers is going to be at his lake house with his legs kicked up, enjoying a stiff drink and laughing at everyone. Look, we talked about it, Joe, me and B-Mac before the game here. He doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. And if they want to blow this whole thing up to keep Aaron Rodgers around for another year, he'll be 39, I think. That just doesn't make sense if you do the math. In terms of building the team, you move on from Jordan Love, maybe you trade him, whatever, and then what do you do a year from now? Maybe that's looking too far into the distance, but I think Aaron Rodgers sails off in the sunset, first ballot Hall of Famer, and to your point, they could build a statue right now, and that would not be too soon for all the things he's done for Green Bay.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say this time next year, 2023, late November, Aaron Rodgers will be hosting Jeopardy. I agree with you. I don't expect to see Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers uniform. Seeing how the wheels are they're coming off the truck right now, expecting a drastic change in personnel with this team in 2023 is something I don't expect to see. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, if you've been a guy throughout your entire career as a starter, when you've become the guy, you've used to being a competitor on a competitive team. Right now, it's safe to say the Green Bay Packers are going in the wrong direction. Some of the other teams in the NFC, they have surpassed the Green Bay Packers. Heck, within their division, they're not the cream of the crop anymore. Right now, best case scenario, they're probably third in their division. And that's tough to say when you look at the other teams not named the Minnesota Vikings. Those teams have resources to improve. Those teams will have more money to improve. So if you're Aaron Rodgers, if you're looking at some of the things you're going through right now, the physical issues, right? Mentally, you're not happy because you're not successful. You're not reaching that bar of expectations that you have reached throughout your career. Why continue to go through that? Not to mention, if you put out bad performances in 2023, you better believe everybody will be asking for Jordan Love, a future Hall of Famer, one of the best guys to ever do it. I think it's safe to say, guys, it's better to walk away a year early than a year too late.
And it might be just about that time. And it is time now